So this video is to learn the tan inverse. Tan inverse is how we find out the angle if we have two sides of a triangle. In order to learn this, you have to watch the previous two videos. You should know the algebra basics, and you should know what trig and tangent ratio are. You should be able to look at these problems and be able to solve these before you move on to the tan inverse. So we're going to learn about tan inverse, or tan -1, what you see on your calculator, and why do we use it. Using the tan inverse on your calculator is a little more complicated. So take a close look at your tan button on the calculator. Right above it, just above the button, you'll probably find a tan -1. That is tan inverse. So what we're going to do is to use that, and to use it, we need to use the shift or the second function button. It's usually in the top left corner. And what we're going to do is we're going to type second function or shift, tan, and then the number we want to plug in. Press in shift, press the tan button. You will see tan -1 in the screen, and then type in the number. Now it's the same for all three. The one exception is if you have a TI 36X Pro. You'll notice that the button is slightly different. The button has both tan and tan inverse on the button. So to make this one work, we're going to press it twice. If you press it once, you get tan. Press it twice to get tan inverse. Then type in the number 0.57735. If we go to one-line displays, again, we're always kind of working backwards. We're going to start with a number, find the second function or shift button on your calculator, and press tan. Again, you don't need an equal sign. You type that in exactly, and you should get the right answer, 30, or very close to it. The key thing with algebra is that we always have to do the opposite. So the opposites in math, everything in math has an opposite. Multiplication and division are opposites. Addition and subtraction, opposites. X squared, a squared, and a square root are opposites. If we do multiply by 2, divide by 2, we end up with the same thing. Now the key thing here is, what's the opposite of tan or tangent? So let's go over two questions. We've looked at these before. We've got the unknown at the top. We've got division. The opposite is multiplication. And the answer will be 8.06. I'm going to round to one decimal place, 8.1. This one here, the unknown is on bottom. We know that it can't be. So we're going to use the shortcut method and just switch these top to bottom. Remember, top to bottom. 15 divided by 10, 61. If you have a single line calculator or basic calculator, type this in first, put it in, and then do it. Otherwise, if you have a two-line, just take the whole thing, and you will get 8.31 or 8.3 units. So the key thing, algebra, do the switch, the opposite. Multiply in this case, we're dividing, but this one here, what is the opposite of tan? The only way that we can solve this one is to move the tan over and break it apart from the x. This is not multiplication. We are going to use tan inverse. And it looks like this, tan with a little -1. So our goal now is to find an angle using tan inverse. And tan inverse on your calculator looks like this, tan with a -1. So, first of all, check your calculator. I want you to type in tan 30. Now, if you type it in, tan 30 is 0.57735. So we know the tan inverse is about going backwards. It's the opposite. So if I take the tan inverse of this number, I should go back to what I started with. So what I want you to do is type this into your calculator. If you have a two-line calculator, type in exactly what you see. You're going to type in second function or shift, the tan button, and then type in the number that you have. When you press equals, you should get the original answer or very close to it. If you have your phone or a single line calculator, start with the number, type in the number first, second function, tan button. This next one here, we've got a fraction over there. So tan is the inverse. So what I'm going to do is algebra. I do the same thing. I do it to both sides. so it disappears. I'm left with x by itself, which is what I want. X is isolated. And now I'm going to do tan inverse of this fraction. Now, note that I put brackets around this. This is important. So what you're going to do is type in this with the brackets. Second function, tan button, bracket 23 divided by 14, bracket. You should get 58.7 degrees. If you don't, check that it's on degree mode or D mode. This one, same thing. We're going to cancel the tan by doing tan inverse. Like that. You'll notice here we're using the Greek letter theta. Depending on the textbook, North American textbooks tend to use X. You might find more European textbooks will use the Greek letters. So in this case, if I plug this in, don't forget the units. These are all in degrees. Every time you get an answer, you won't realize it because it's just numbers in this stage. But the answer is always an angle in degree mode. So put the units after each answer. And we get our answer, 29.1, and don't forget the degree sign. So now we want to use the algebra we've learned with a triangle problem. In this case, they are asking us to find angle E, which is this angle up here. And I'm going to make a little curve here just to emphasize this is what I want to find. Now I'm given two sides, 6 feet and 4 feet. So I'm going to go to my formula, and I know it's going to be tangent of the angle is opposite divided by adjacent. I go over here, oh, I've gone out of order. Always label your sides before you start getting into something. And the sides are going to be opposite. Opposite is always across from the chosen angle, and adjacent is between the angle and the 90-degree side. So we've got 6 feet for opposite, 4 feet for adjacent, and now I can do my algebra. Now, because the unknown is in the middle, it's the angle, I'm going to use tan inverse, and that cancels out. If you have a 2-line calculator, don't forget, put the brackets around it. If you've got a single line, divide it first, second function, tan inverse. You should get 56.3 degrees.